All right, fantastic. Welcome everyone to our Thursday, February 10th, 2022 Town Council meeting. Opening to me, we're going to do Pledge of Allegiance, and I hate to call DB out, but he's really worked a lot this week, so I'm going to go ahead and call him out. DB, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sir, surely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, DB. Roll call.
Mayor Benton,
Here.
Mr. Dotson,
Here.
Ms. Cadler,
Here.
Ms. Lawton will be late, Mr. Hummel,
Here.
Mr. Troncone,
Here.
and Mr. Wilcox.
Here.
Perfect. Thank you so very much.
Hey, I just realized I'm not at the end anymore.
I was always at the end.
You got promoted. You got promoted. All right, let's keep rolling. I'm just going to keep going with the agenda as written. The minutes of the past meeting, I need a motion to approve the January 13th, 2022 Town Council meeting minutes as presented inside of your board docs.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Fantastic. Thank you so much. 5-0-0. All right, schedule appointments. Deb, is Deb on? There she is. I see her. So can we unmute Deb, please? Deborah Noyes, please. Welcome, Deborah.
Thank you.
So she's going to be talking about the North Beach House and Garden Club request that is attached in the agenda.
Okay. So you've got that invoice, I guess, and yep. Okay. So just a little bit of background for those of you that weren't around 5 years ago, and some of you were on the council. There was a joint effort by then the Economic Development Committee and the North Beach House and Garden Club. And the EDC had one of their things that they wanted to do for beautification of the town was to have a yard of the month competition. So I was chair of the EDC at the time and also the garden club president. So I was asked to put forth this idea to the garden club to see if we would run it, sponsor it, carry it out. And so I did, and the garden club really wanted to do it. And so besides the sign that we put in each yard, and it runs from May to October, so it's for 6 months. Besides the signs that we place in each yard that win it for that month, we give the homeowner a permanent tile, ceramic tile, very decorative, nice, where a lot of them hang them outside just like the house tour tiles, but it's a smaller size tile. So since it was also a joint idea or venture with the EDC, I went ahead and put forth to the town council and asked if they would fund a year's worth, which means 6 tiles, for this new project. And it was posed, I remember at the time, I think it was Randy Hummel that said, well, that was so nominal, why don't we just fund 5 years worth? So I was pleased not to just get funding, for the year, but the 5 years. Well, those 5 years are up. We've used those tiles. We finished this past in 2021, and we'll start again in May. And so I went back to Pottery Patch, the vendor who we purchased them from before, who has been years of doing the tiles for the house tour as well. And this is what they gave us. It'd be $445.20 for 5 more years of these tiles. And that comes to, before tax, only $1 a tile more in 5 years, which I thought was a pretty good deal, especially during, the pandemic and their business and that sort of thing. So I said I would come forth and ask if the town council was willing to fund this again and purchase those tiles for us.
Thank you so much. Just want to note that Councilwoman Elizabeth Lawton is on. So let's open this up for discussion for those who, I know where I stand on it, but let's go ahead and pass around. Anybody have any questions, concerns, or Or do we move to a motion? Please start. I know Mickey, you're in the top left. Anybody have any questions?
I say I've seen them around. They look good. And I was on the council when we said it's like, let's just do 5 years. It makes more sense than like coming back in a year to do it. So I see no problem with this.
All right. As I come across Paul, Lauren,
I
Awesome
love
program.
these.
Let's do it.
I love these tiles. Yeah.
Mr. Wilcox, you're muted. You're
Yeah, well,
not-
that's all right. I agree. I've seen them around. I know I wasn't here 5 years ago, but I'm here now and it looks good to me.
All right, come on, okay, we're gonna keep coming around. Elizabeth, do you have any which way you want to go with this?
I like the tiles. I think they're nice. So I'm for it.
Like, Greg,
No objection. Motion to move forward.
fantastic. We have a motion to move forward with the 44520. Do we have a second?
Second,
We have a second. We have a first. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Fantastic. 6 Deb, thank you so much. I love seeing them every month, or excuse me, I love to see the postings. I love to see the signs. I think it's done amazing with our residents really stepping up and trying to get on that list to win the next tile. So keep up the
Right.
great work.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for all of you for funding it. It's really been a successful venture.
Fantastic.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Deborah.
Thank you.
Deb.
Thank you.
All right, let's move right into the public safety report. And I do want, I know usually is there any questions, but I do want you to realize that we have a new report. Lieutenant Hollinger and Deputy Schroeder and we all met, and I know Stacy's been talking to him. And they did a new report. I love how simple it is and explains it to what the stops are. And, you know, if you look at the bottom on a page, what happened, you know, it's just a better way to explain to everybody what's going on in our town when it comes to our amazing sheriff department. So Lieutenant Hollinger, what would you like to pass on before I open up to council?
But I basically had noticed in the past some confusion with the report, the way it was. I mean, sometimes it would say for a particular month that we had, say, 250 calls for service. And I found that some people think that that's alarming. Like, wow, you know, crime must be really terrible for us to have 250 calls for service. But it wasn't really accurately capturing calls for service. Probably 2/3 of that were patrol checks and traffic stops and other things. So it's a new year, and I thought, well, let's change the way we're doing this report. And we're still collecting all the same data. We're just doing a better job parsing it out. So when you see calls for service from here on out, that's actually how many calls we were dispatched on. So in this case for January, it's 53. That's actually 53 things that we were dispatched to. And at the bottom of the sheet, you'll see that it's broken down to patrol checks, traffic stops, everything separately. So it's all the same data. We're just trying to eliminate some confusion and parse out that information and make it a little easier to analyze. So
You
That's
can
really
see the
it.
bottom, CDS theft. So council, who has some questions or any questions?
I have a really probably silly question. So I'll only ask this time and then I'll know. What's CDS?
it's controlled dangerous substance. So it's really any kind of illegal drugs.
Okay. And then, thank you. And what's conservor of peace?
Oh, it's a conservator of the peace. So it's basically if, like, say somebody is going through a breakup or a divorce and they want to return to the house and get some clothing, we'll meet them down the street and we'll ride with them to the house.
Oh, okay.
And it's a conservator of the peace. It's kind of a keeper of the peace. So we'll just go there and make sure there aren't any problems while they collect their things.
Okay.
So that's all it is. Yeah.
It's just, it's spelled wrong. So that's why I wasn't sure what it was. But,
Okay. Yeah, conservator of the peace is how it should have been spelled now.
okay, got it.
I probably spelled it, sorry.
I like the report though. It's a lot easier to follow.
Good.
Any other questions from council? Nope. All right, Lieutenant Hollinger, thank you as always, and I'm looking to catch up again soon.
All right. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
All right,
Thank you.
treasurer, Joe is on, well, she's the red screen, so. Our treasury report is.
Good
attached.
evening, how are you?
There she is. Fantastic, Joe. Welcome.
Joanne.
You got 2 months, you got November and December's report in front of you. I'm just gonna read from the December one. The beginning balance was $3,486,000 in general fund. The total cash available to the town at the end of the month was $6,715,000. Two of the most significant things on here is the hotel tax revenue that you'll see is quite significant for the 2 months. In December, it was 5,000, and in November, it was 8,000 some dollars. So that's pretty good. And then the other item would be the payments for taxes from the Calvert County. Is for November, it was 1.5 million. And in December, it was $244,000 and $20,000. Those were the most significant things during those 2 months. And those are the reports. Unless you want me to read the details of every balance here.
No, we don't need that. What, any questions from council about either two of the reports? Any questions for Joe?
I have one on the November report.
Yes.
Under cash receipts, the two for rental licenses.
Yes. 12,000 and 15,000.
Yeah, what are they
This-
from?
This is from the beginning of the 3-year renewal for rental licenses. So they're paying for 3 years at one time. So that's what that number represents. It's a significant amount of money, but then on our financials, it's broken down over 3 years, but we actually received most of it in the first year.
Was that from like one property or a couple properties?
No, that's from
No.
several properties.
And
I
what
think
is,
like the 12,000 could be like 28 properties. Or the 15 is like 32. I don't remember off the top of my head how many there are in each one. But there are quite a few rental properties in town. I think Kelly can give you a list because she maintains that. I want to say is over 400 and some.
so
Okay,
the 3 years ran out, so now we're renewing. So if you look at the code enforcement notes for
Yeah, I
this meeting,
saw.
you saw
Yeah.
all the inspections. Donnie Croto does the inspections for rental housing and business licenses. Kelly will organize the money coming in, and then Joe take it from there, so.
Yeah, that's all. Just those numbers like flagged me. It was like, was that a typo? So
No,
No,
pretty good.
no, they do a lot of inspections and a lot of stuff. All right, thank you. Any questions for Joe before we move on?
Yeah, and I may have missed it, but where are the ARPA funds at? Is
The
that not
what?
on here?
The ARP funds.
Oh, they came through there, but they're not shown here. They're set aside in a separate account, Greg. I can report on them if you'd like to see it on the report.
Yeah, that belongs to the town, so it needs to be on the sheet.
Okay,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
Anything else before we move on to DPW? Nope. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
All
ma'am.
right.
Welcome.
All right, DB.
Sir, good evening, everyone. You all have my report in front of you, but I would like to mention a very important thing that I did neglect to leave off my report. This past month, they had a pre-bid meeting for the new Twin Beach Library, and they held that on site at the lot right there on the North 5th Street lot, town owned. So we did have a pre-bid meeting for that. We had a very good turnout for that. It was probably 20 contractors showed up for the pre-bid meeting. They went over the details, went over some, they wanted to get them out there so they could see the site, talk about the flooding issues, talk about storing equipment and stuff, and, the town flooded, so you had to be aware of that. Showed them the site, showed them the working conditions. We went over the hours of work, and those bids are actually due tomorrow to Calvert County. So the bid package went out, it's been advertised, the bids are due back in tomorrow. After that, the county will review, along with me and Rick Crump, we'll be reviewing the bid packages to select a contractor to build the new library. I anticipate that probably taking a month because of the scope and the size of the library project to review those bids. They'll do background checks, they'll do reference checks, and do, that type of thing. So mid-March, we could be seeing the lot, shut down for the start of the library. There'll probably, be a month, then they'll give notice to proceed to the contractor. Once they submit all their submittals to the county and get approved, they'll be on site and could be starting as soon as April probably. I did meet with BG&E, a representative from BG&E, and I've also met with Comcast and Verizon on site. We had the utilities marked. We're going to start putting conduit in there Monday, if the weather permits, for BG&E's the wires has to be moved that are on the lot for the library now. So they have to be relocated probably 10 feet to the north of where they're at now. We found out, we test pitted out there, DPW test pit, we found that Comcast cable line is out of the way, so that will not have to be moved. I met on site with Verizon out there 2 weeks ago, and we got a rough draft of what needs to be done to make that happen. We just have to add 2 more extra conduits when we do the power movable conduit work. So all that stuff should be happening pretty soon. Like I say, we'll anticipate, hopefully we should get a good bid. The county should get a good bid because of the number of contractors that showed up for the pre-bid. So kind of looking forward to that. So keep your eyes open for action happening there very soon.
And we're going to have the library come on in March, do a presentation too, just to circle everything back around and tie it all together for us. All right. What else you got, DB?
Any questions on any of that? Or also one important thing off with the storm, I think it's further down the agenda, but the railings pretty much done there, and we'll be opening up the boardwalk for foot traffic tomorrow. I can elaborate a little bit more. I think that's one of the agenda items.
Yeah,
further
we'll
down.
go over it shortly.
Okay.
His report is attached. Any questions about his report, council? No? All right. Thank you so much, DB. Stay tuned. I'll be calling you back in a second.
Yep.
Dawn, marketing, public relations. Give us some good news.
Hi, everyone. Let's see, good news. We will have a state of the town presentation next month. That would be for the year 2021. We are starting to discuss and plan for events for this year, which is good. And also, before we know it, we'll be talking about the beach opening. So that's something to look forward to. The good news is, and I think this is what Mayor Benton is speaking of, the contractor that will do the install of our audio-visual equipment upstairs at Town Hall, materials are in hand. We have a call scheduled for next week to talk about moving forward with install and training and things like that. So shouldn't be long. Materials were delivered a little sooner than they expected, so that's good. We're excited about that.
Yes. So once that is done, we will go live and Zoom at the same time. So for those who want to stay home, because whatever reason, it doesn't matter, they can still plug in. And then those who want to come live, we will be live. So we will be organized. It will be recorded as always, and so forth. So I'm excited that we can move forward with it. And I look forward to the call that Dawn and I are waiting for. So we will keep you in the loop on that. Any questions for Dawn?
Dawn, when they set up the training for staff, can you let me know? I want to try and be a part of that too.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
That was all I had. Thanks.
All right.
Anything else from council before we move on? Nope. All right. Thank you so much. Oh, I heard a voice. Nope. Thank you, Dawn. Rick unexpectedly could not make it tonight. He sent me a message a little while ago. He apologized, but he had a situation arise he could not get out of. His report is included, which is the code and also the zoning portion of it. Please take a look at it. If you have any questions at all for Rick, please call him, email him, text him, get a hold of him, and he will answer your questions. Let's move on down. Community conservation, her report is included. And if you notice at the back of the agenda, she has a lot of, Lisa has a lot of events coming up. She also was not able to make it due to personal reasons, but her report is in here. And I think you're going to be happy to see a lot more outdoor events coming up this year, especially with a lot of the changes we're making with the nature, so forth that she's handling. So her report's in there. Again, if you have any questions, concerns, anything, please call her, email her, text her. She's very accessible and she's open to ideas. At this moment in time, we're going to open up for public comments. The town of North Beach welcomes public comment. Public comments will be taken in the chat box during the Zoom meeting. Please state your name and address prior to your comment. So if we open up now and we don't get any, but you think of something 10 minutes from now, put it in there. And Paul always does that after I say that. So we'll wait a second. Then we'll move right into ordinance resolutions. Again, if you think of something, please put it in chat and then it's going to pop up. We'll see the number and then we will definitely answer to the best of our ability, or at least get the answer to you. All right, let's move on. And if public has anything, they can add that to that. Ordinance and resolutions. This is just an introduction. There's no vote. It's just an introduction to the public. We've gone through the process. This introduction is for the introduction, but then we're going to move it. It's going to be voted on in the March 10th, 2022 town council agenda. All right. So the introduction is ordinance number 22-01. An ordinance repealing Article 3 of the town zoning ordinance and enacting Chapter 3 zoning of the code of the town of North Beach, including Article 3 zoning districts. Is that correct, Stacy? I want to make sure I've read that right.
Correct. You read from the ordinance.
All right. So that was the introduction, and that's what our goal was for tonight, to introduce it. It will be on our agenda for March for a vote. All right. Business items. What the heck was that? All right. So let's talk about the update on the October nor'eastern that hit our town, hit the whole coast. We've been working hard. We've had some, again, this happened on October 29th. I think we're still moving pretty quick based upon the supply chain issues, the contractor issues, the weather, the storms, and all that stuff that we had to deal with. DB, I appreciate your crew staying and making it happen. The walkway will be open tomorrow. The flower beds are not done, but we put safety railings all through there. That will be the process, but every time we get moving, we have snow, we have ice, we have rain. We always have a curveball. So we wanted to focus on getting the walkway open, which it will be. I went down there tonight. It's not 100% done. The railings aren't 100% done, but they're safe and they're complete, what you can see. But we have some tightening up to do on some items. DB, give us a quick update on everything.
Yep. Yeah, like you said, the railing's pretty much 95% complete. We went up to Bay Metals today to get some more brackets, the aluminum angle brackets you see that are attached to the post. We do have about 20 of those to replace. We got to shore up, some of the posts. We went with the new top rail all the way down to Hatch's Corner to strengthen that whole section of railing. We put a stronger heavy duty top rail on that boardwalk section, and that did stiffen it up and try to strengthen it up a little bit with the top rail along with the railing and the post. But like I said, it's about tomorrow. The contractor's going to be on site. We're going to finish up any little details with that. And we're also probably going to start on the first flower bed. It's 3 houses there that really got a lot of erosion in their flower bed areas that need to be reframed. We have to reframe the whole flower bed thing. Then we're going to put filter cloth in. We're going to put some surge, like 3 to 5 to 7 inch surge stone in, bring it up, and then we'll put probably a foot of topsoil so it can be replanted. And a couple of those walkways for those homes need to be redone also. So we'll be doing that starting tomorrow and then finishing up hopefully next week. And that'll be done. We do have a little bit of work to do up at the north end of the Atlantic Avenue. We probably have about a dump truck, 2 dump truck loads of good, clean, compactable fill dirt that we need to add up there, that we had a little bit of erosion behind the existing riprap up there, the large riprap that protects the northern point before you come around to the cove there. We had some minor, I wouldn't say minor, but not major, but in between erosion up there that we probably can fix with 2 loads of good, clean fill and a Bobcat. It'd probably take a day, but it's been so wet in the wintertime now, with the snow, rain, wet, freezing, thawing. It's not a good time to go up there and we'll make more of a mess than what we'll correct. So we're waiting to catch a couple good dry, maybe a week of dry weather, let it heat up a little bit, and then we'll go up there and we'll regrade and we'll finish that up. Other than that, we should be, we didn't reach really, we did all this for under the $25,000 deductible so far that our insurance company, we would have had to pay anyway. So far, by purchasing the lumber, Public Works doing a lot of the work. We hired a pretty reasonable contractor, although had to stay on him. It's been pretty tough and some days working with him, but he did complete it. So I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but we're probably below the, below 25 right now. We do have a code for all storm damage. So any invoices that would come in are going right to that coded item for all the storm damage. So we can total that. We still can submit that to our insurance company if we'd like, but that's every cost or everything associated with that is being assessed to that one code. So we are tracking every dollar we're spending, working on the damage, the replacing, fixing everything, correcting all the damage. Like the mayor said, the boardwalk will be open again tomorrow for walking. What we'll probably do while we're working on the flower beds, we'll just put temporary barricades up during work hours, and then we'll remove them, in the evening when we leave, 3:30, 4 o'clock. So we'll put them up in the morning. If we find out we don't need them because it is the winter, you do have a lot of foot traffic, but tomorrow I'm sure people will be out like flies. It's gonna be like a spring day tomorrow. So we'll block it off just during normal work hours, but we'll open it up so the public can access it after 3:30, 4 o'clock every day. Anybody have any questions as far as any of the storm related items?
Is the Lockers house one of the ones needing rework in the flower bed?
Yeah, it's halfway. The north side held up better than the south side but from their gate to the south end of their house is all from
Okay.
there. And then the next 2 houses past there has got most of the damage.
Okay,
Blinkos and the big blue house, Blinkos and Lockers got the majority of the damage there.
okay. Cool, thank you, Donnie.
Yep.
Hey, Donnie, just 2 questions or 1 question. Where's the erosion on the north of Atlantic? Is it in between the Murphy's house and the riprap?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know
Yep,
that.
it's all the
Okay.
way. Yeah, it's all the way on the point right there, all the way around and
Yeah.
kind of in front. Yeah, the northernmost end of that. Yep.
Yeah, that riprap's a little low.
Right.
And are you all gonna send out a message to the town tomorrow, letting them know the boardwalk is open?
Yeah, tomorrow, once we get in and clean up a little bit, I think I got a little bit of lumber, a little bit of scraps, a little bit of everything else, but by noon, I'll get with Dawn and she'll send out a blast for the
We also,
residents.
when did Dawn, is Dawn on here? Yeah, Dawn. When
Yeah,
did we
she is.
send out the one letting people know we're opening it up on Friday? When was it? Last week, Friday?
The last one went out we try to do it every Friday, so February 4th.
Yeah, so we did let
Last
everybody
Friday.
know that our goal was to open up by Friday. And then we'll remind them tomorrow on a text message.
The railing is nice, solid, thick.
Yeah, I think it turned out pretty good and turned out pretty solid. Like I said, we still have a little bit of shoring up to do. That boardwalk, as you know, Lauren, because you helped me tremendously with the grants, but instead of replacing all the posts and going all in on that boardwalk right now, I think we need to focus on getting some riprap 20, 25 feet out there to help protect, because we could have spent a ton of money on that and had another storm came and wipe it right out. But I think it's more than sturdy enough for right now until we get that riprap in place. Hopefully we'll be fortunate enough to get a grant to help us out with that in the near future here.
All right. Any other questions from council? DB, thank you so much.
Sure.
I'm sure people are gonna be excited about it being open tomorrow. All right, thank you so
Donnie.
much.
Sir.
All right. Move right into mayor reports. So you'll start seeing, starting tomorrow, we'll also be updating and letting people know, letting the residents know that next Thursday on 2/17, we will be having an American Rescue Plan Act open meeting conversation. So you'll see the board docs information start to go out. You'll see the text messages, the emails, let people know they can attend via Zoom. And I think what we're going to just say is an American Rescue Plan Act work session, if that works for y'all, unless y'all want to call it something else. But that's part of my mayor's report. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the council for their reports. And I want to start in the top left. Mickey.
Thank everybody for coming out and see you next time. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mickey. Keep coming straight across. Mr. Troncone.
Yeah, same thing here. Just thank everyone for coming out. Have a good night.
All right, keep coming around. Lauren.
All right, I'm going to take a few minutes. I just want to report out on 4 flood-related items. First one, I want to talk about the grants. Donnie referenced them, but 3 grant applications requesting nearly $2 million to help combat our flood and stormwater issues were submitted to the Maryland Department of Environment on January 31st. And we expect to hear back before June 1st, so fingers crossed. Just as a reminder, the grants fund seek funding to build a new pump station at 7th and Atlantic, upgrade the 9th Street pump station, and enhance the rock seawall along Atlantic Avenue and the portion of the boardwalk that Donnie was just referring to. Huge shout out to Dawn, Joe, Donnie, the mayor, and the flood committee. This was a heavy lift, getting these 3 applications pulled together. But they look awesome. They're up on our website. There's tons of pictures that I think will go a long way, and hopefully, in helping us get these grants. Second, I want to just give a quick update on the flood action RFP. It was issued on January 31st. There's a mandatory pre-bid meeting scheduled for Valentine's Day. Not sure who picked that date, but it's gonna be rainy anyway. So that's Valentine's Day for the pre-bid meeting, and bids are due on March 16th. I do want to note that that we, Stacy, me, Donnie, we made a lot of changes to this RFP, and Alyssa actually helped out a bit as well. But what we want to try to do is kind of bring this RFP into the 21st century. So for example, we're having a pre-bid meeting that's going to be done via Zoom. That doesn't necessarily have to be in person. If you want to meet in person, you can, but we're going to do it by Zoom. There's a Dropbox set up for submissions. The RFP was posted to sites other than the town website to include the Maryland Municipal League's RFP website. So changes like that were made. So anyone on council or volunteers, anyone's listening in, working on RFPs for the town in the future, may want to just check this RFP out and consider using it as sort of a model. Third item is we've done a little bit of restructuring and a reset of the flood committee. So the official titles are the same. Donnie's the chair. David Damalugi is the secretary. I'm the liaison for the council. But in addition to these kind of official titles and roles, what we've done is each committee member will serve as a subject matter expert for one of 6 core areas. And the purpose behind this is really to ensure that the committee members are kind of provided a structure and an opportunity to fully engage in committee matters. Because what was happening is that we were so busy that it was kind of like Donnie and I and Dave a little bit and Don a little bit. We were just working and doing stuff and not even having time to reach out to the committee members for their input and for their help. So I think by setting up this structure, it'll give the committee members much more opportunity to kind of fully engage, and they're psyched about it. 6 core areas are engineering, grants, bids and contracts, flood response and recovery, education outreach and training, and messaging and marketing. This information is going to be on our website with the person who is a subject matter expert for those areas identified. And then finally, the flood committee has pulled together a frequently asked questions document. And then this is really coming right out of the flood committee. I haven't done too much work on this. They've done this over the last several weeks. And the facts focus on the status of kind of the committees, all the different projects, and kind of tries to answer questions people would ask about how those projects directly affect or impact them. So the audience for these facts are North Beach residents. This will be distributed by Town Text when it's final in the next week or so, and then posted to the committee's webpage. So that's it for me.
Thank you.
Sorry, there's a lot, but there's a lot going on this month.
You're fine. You're fine. Perfect. Perfect. Ken,
Oh, thanks everyone for coming out. This is my second meeting, so it's good to get back and getting my sea legs back. And thanks to the mayor and the other council members is that I'm tasked along with Stacy, Alyssa, and Elizabeth. We're, how can I put this? Refreshing, revising, updating to the 21st century our town charter. Last time when I was looking at some portions of it, hasn't been touched in over 50 years. And a few things have happened in town and the rest of the nation in the past 50 years. So we're taking it gradually. We're taking a chapter by chapter. We are going to primarily work on the elections chapter first, because that's probably going to be the most operative this year. So it's a lot of going through the language, seeing if it's actually clear, see if it's actually being used anymore. And just overall for people to understand that the charter is the equivalent of the town's constitution. It is intended to be broad. So the language is supposed to be broad, and ambiguous is the wrong word, but it's just trying to be covering as much as possibly it can. But some parts of it now are just archaic. So we're working through that, and we'll be periodically over the rest of the year, there'll be portions of it that'll be coming out, and we will do the appropriate introduction of it, the appropriate time for the public hearings and all sorts of things. But I just want to get people in mind, and they can always send emails to the town if they have any questions or ideas, or they think about portions of the charter should be updated for whatever reason. Please send them on. And that's my report.
thank you, Ken. Don't worry, everybody's gonna have a lot of time to dig into this. All right, as I continue to come around, Councilwoman Lawton.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Quite a busy month. I'll start with the Environmental Committee. We've brought on 3 new people on the Environmental Committee, and similar to what's happening on the Stormwater Committee, they're each getting a subject matter area to look at. The people that I've brought on, one is focused on what's happening, what requirements are coming down from the state. Another person's focused on what requirements are happening on the county. We brought on a very seasoned program project manager to help us pull this all together so we can really define what our requirements are and what we need to focus on moving, not just this year, but into the future around this mission statement that says we promote healthy, attractive, sustainable North Beach with green initiatives and public education. That's really, really pretty broad. Okay, so what we really need to do is we need to filter that down to those things that are coming out of all these agencies that are specific to what we need to focus on here in North Beach, and then go after the funding to actually do that. So that's where we are. We're in the middle of just all the administration of pulling that together. There's a few initiatives that we're working, a little bit too early to talk about that. Our very next meeting, however, we've decided, the chair has decided that we should meet face to face. So we will be in town hall on March the 1st. We will not be doing our meeting by Zoom. We will be telling the public that they're welcome to coming to town hall. I've already spoke to the mayor about this, and we're working through that. And then we'll take the next step to the hybrid meeting when that comes about the following month. And yes, I do too would like to be in that training when that happens, Dawn. So need to be on that. Thank you. So the next other committee is the Community Health Committee. Yes, so we had a resolution last month that we needed a health committee. We've hit the ground running. We've been looking at our draft mission statement, what that should be. We've been looking at several different projects, but the 2 that's really forefront right now that you'll probably hear about in the next couple of months is there's a health fair that's coming up in May that's in the beaches. A little history on that. The first one happened in 2020, right before what happened in 2020, and it was focused just on the opioid crisis. So that's being folded into this new version of the health fair, and we're going to be actively working with the Chesapeake Beach on that. So we're not going to step away from the opioid issues. We are taking a look at that. In fact, there was a meeting on that this afternoon, right before this, or this evening, right before this meeting, because we're folding the organizations together or the committees together, or they're folding it. We're just tagging along for the ride. The next thing that's happening is there's a walkability committee there, and it is advantageous for us to work with them because although they Chesapeake Beach has some differences than we do, there are some similarities, and we've started working on signage and the types of things to pull us together out in that regard. So more on that in the future. We've decided to have this committee meeting every 2 months as opposed to every month. We're targeting March to be our first committee meeting, and lots more to come after that. So thanks again, all for now, and appreciate the time.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Dodson.
Thanks, Mayor. Just also want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. I just want to backtrack on a couple of things here. The meeting next week, we had talked last week about seeking community input for the ARP funds. I need to make sure that we put that out that way and ask for them to provide input. And I'll leave that up to Stacy and the mayor, how they want to have them submit that information. And they can also, I guess, provide it that night as well. But I think we definitely need to, as I said last week, seek community input to this. So that's it. Thank you. And everyone be safe and enjoy the warm weather over the next 2 days.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Greg. All right. Well, thanks to everyone for attending tonight. I thought it was a very productive and wonderful meeting as always. And can I get a motion to adjourn our meeting?
One other thing, Mayor, if I could.
Yes, absolutely.
What is going on with the small pond down there? It's like every time I walk by, like every 8 to 10 days, it is extremely low.
Yeah.
And they've got the holes out there trying to put water back in it. What?
Yeah.
What's up with that?
We don't know. We're looking to get some funding to help us with it. We cleaned it out 2 years ago or a year ago, or maybe was it before? I think it was before COVID. So 3 years ago, maybe.
So we've been putting water in the pond for 3 years?
No. It just started a couple months ago that we started seeing this. What I'm saying,
I don't think I had seen it go down that long.
No,
Okay.
we don't know yet, but we do have a plan in place. We had Gardner come down and look at it. If everything falls through, one of my goals is to get some funding, some grant money, which it doesn't look very positive right now. We'll be presented to the council we think we know what we need to do with the pump system. I think our ponds are probably one of the the largest attraction we have. I even think it's bigger than the beach sometimes. So we will be addressing it. It's not DPW's on top of it, but we've already met with an expert once, and now we just need to move forward once we figure out the funding.
So what did the experts say about it?
Well, DB can probably go a little deeper. There's a couple steps.
Yeah, go that deep. Just a little surface of what's really going on and what do we need to do to get it fixed? Or
Greg, sometimes we find down there that, to be honest, the kids have piled rocks up in the waterfall. And that was one of the problems. That's not the problem all the time, but if you put any debris or whatever in that waterfall, it kind of redirects the water. When it goes up to the top, it's coming back down the waterfall. And instead of coming back into the pond, it actually, those rocks and even the plants are directing it right out the edge. So that water's shooting out of the pond and you don't even really notice it because it must be either soaking into the mulch or going over to the stormwater treatment device right there where all the grasses are growing. There's not really any water in that pond, our treatment basin right next to it. So that's some of the issue. We need to raise up the sides, like redo the edges of that waterfall, make them a little higher, put the liner up, rewrap that area to make sure the water, once it goes to the top of the fall, is actually coming back down through the fall. We've turned the pumps on and off several times to try to see if it's a leak in the line from the bottom, because the pumps are down in the small pond in the bottom there, and they're pumping it back up to the top of the hill. We've unplugged them, let the water set for like a day to see if that water dropped or not with the pumps being off, and it doesn't seem to make a difference. Some days it'll go, like you said, sometimes it'll go for 3 weeks and it won't even drop. Then all of a sudden out of the blue, it drops down overnight, it seems like. So it's kind of weird thing. We can't find any leaks around the pond, any wet areas. We haven't really noticed like a lot of water where it's a soft, spongy, soft spot around the pond. So I hope the liner's not leaking. You can't really, it's not obvious anyway. But like the mayor said, Gardner came down. We've got a quote already for them to redo the liner around the edge of that fall, pull some of those plants out the way that's blocking the flow.
How much
Remove
is
those
that?
plants, get them out of there. Yeah, and then put some
How mu-
filters up.
How much of that estimate, Danny?
I don't, you remember off the top of your head, Mayor, I think it was under $30,000 for both ponds, I'm thinking. I need to, but I don't want to tell you a wrong number right off the top of my head.
I think it was right around 27,000.
Yeah, I think it was around between 25 and 30, I'm pretty sure.
But we don't need to do both of them. I mean, the big one seemed to be okay. I mean, why would we replace that one when it's fine?
Well, neither one of those ponds have a filter, very good filtering system. So we're talking about pumping the water up and adding a new filtering device up at the top of the pond that we can actually clean. So we can try to keep that, ponds a lot cleaner. It'll catch the debris like a swimming pool filter kind of. You'll pump it up there. You'll have a new thing built at the top where the water gets pumped to, and it'll actually be a filtering device. And it's something that we can cut the pumps off, pull out the baskets, clean it, and then put it back in service. Right now, we don't have any way. We have to drain the pond pretty much to clean the filters that are in there now. So that was all part of that. And it's also trying to keep the runoff from the edges of the pond running in. So it's building up the edges all the way around the big pond, the little pond. So it's, pretty fair amount of work for the prices. Building that up and putting kind of like a berm so the water doesn't run off of the sidewalk and run off the mulch area and run right to the pond to help keep it clean also.
Two quick
And then-
things, and then Lauren, I saw your hand coming up there.
Yeah, I have a question, please.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, could we use, could this go on the capital projects list? Could you use ARP funds for this?
Yes.
So
We
maybe
didn't
should
include
add
it yet on that list because we were kind of waiting. We thought we were going to get a grant for around
Oh.
100,000, but I
We're
don't
not
think that's
getting-
happening, right?
We're not
Yeah.
getting that grant for the pond,
Right.
so we
Okay,
we can add it to the capital improvement projects.
Right.
Okay, and I have another question, but it's unrelated to the pond, so I'll just wait on that.
Can I just state something about the pond? When we did place the bids out, actually it was in 2020, we did do an ad alternative for the installation of upgrading the filtration system to accommodate both ponds and the construction of a filtration housing unit for the new filtration system. I could pull those bids back out and give you some kind of.
Yeah, please do. It
Okay,
could be
yeah.
added to our conversation for next Thursday.
Yeah, cause I definitely didn't think that there would be any kind of grant to get for that, but yeah. And then the other couple of things I had was, I walk around there in the evening, usually sometime it's already dark, but that back corner, I see there's a light pole back there, but the light's not on. Is there a reason why the light's not on?
You know why it's not on?
I didn't notice that the light wasn't on, so we can check it out tomorrow, Greg. I appreciate that.
Well, we will circle back around tomorrow, Greg, on that because there's an electrician that has been approached by me. So we will address it again and we'll make sure that the light is fixed because
The monument lights around there, all of those are working, it's great, but when you get around the back side of this, like, whoa, this is pretty dark. And then I noticed there's a light back there, but it's not working.
Yeah.
And then the other thing tied into that, I see looks like there's one or two cameras out there. Are the cameras actually working?
yeah, they do work in that park, but we're having issues with a lot of cameras because of the age of them. You're going to see us come to the council we would like to move forward with an RFP to update our camera system because it's just like everything else, time runs out and the quality of technology with a lot of our old stuff needs to be replaced. So that is our next IT process or project for us for the town.
Well, they're not that old. I mean, how old are the cameras? I mean, I remember we spent money to get those things put up there. I mean, are we that far behind in technology?
I think they
But
were
they're
put up
not
when I
working.
was on the council.
Yeah, there's challenges and we'll present everything to you so we can go through detail about the backup system, how to find issues when there's a vandalism. It's just we have different locations for our backup system instead of one location. It just needs to be
Yeah,
updated.
but if they work, I mean, I'd rather have them working and capturing stuff than trying to worry about whether they're all consolidated in one location.
They go in and out with the wind. We're constantly getting them rebooted. We're constantly addressing them. Just couldn't tell you why. I can only tell you
Okay.
what's going on.
That's it. I'm done. I've asked enough questions for tonight. Trust
Any
me, I'll
other
have one next week.
The system itself, just real quick on Greg, the system itself is just poorly designed. So
Okay.
we might be able to get away with keeping the cameras, maybe updating the back end, but we have to just get some professionals in there to take a look at it and see the people we're using currently are not.
So we've got
capable of
taken
getting
for
us
a
a-
ride the last time, basically.
To some
You
degree.
don't have to answer that. That's rhetorical.
All right, obviously.
I think Lauren had another one, Mike. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna circle back to, what are we calling that session next week? Because if we call it like ARP or something like that, that doesn't mean anything to people. I mean, that's just, people are gonna fall asleep before they get to this end of that sentence. So can we call it like, how can we spend money to make your town nicer or something like that? I mean,
We can
something that's
call it-
intuitive, so when
Call it
people
Whatever
speak.
you want to call it. Just
So,
tell.
okay,
don't
so
say
what do you guys
I-
think?
I've got a list of things here. How about I send them out and everybody take a look and we just kind of brainstorm, and can we get something back to Stacy by close of business tomorrow? So she can
A
send
list
something
of-
out Monday?
A list of what, Greg? A list of what to
Ideas,
call the meeting?
title ideas.
Ideas of what to call it and taglines to get out there for people to get their interest.
Yeah,
And
awesome.
then you want us just to send it to Stacy individually and not back through each
Sure.
other, so it looks like we're having
Sure.
a conversation.
Yeah, if that's
I
okay
mean,
with
it's not the
Stacy.
name of a meeting, Elizabeth. We're not allowed to do that?
We can have a conversation. Just send it back, but Dawn needs to be involved too, because Dawn's the one that does the outreach.
Yeah, I'll send it.
I didn't understand you, Councilmember Cabler. I'm sorry. I just didn't understand your
I just
your
didn't
comment there.
understand the restriction on,
Yeah, so we could take that offline if you don't mind. Thank you.
Just send it to the
Alright.
person.
we have, but we can do that again, sure.
All right.
I'll
Stacy,
give everything to Dawn so that she's not getting bombarded with emails. Just send
Okay.
everything.
get it to Stacy by COB tomorrow, and then we'll launch it and get it out to the public.
Cool. Thank
All right,
you.
guys. Thank you so much for coming. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a
Night,
good
thank
evening.
you.
Good
We
night.
didn't actually close the meeting.
Close.
Oh,
Oh, we didn't close.
I
the meeting.
second.
Okay, make it call. Got it. 7:54.
Elizabeth, take us out. Boom. Mike.